All right, so Hive members, thank you for coming to our guest speaker event. Today we have Sanitta Coey. The last one we had Dennis Wingate talking about accounting. Today we're gonna have Sanitta. She's the assistant to the director of the Office of Student Engagement in the College of Business. She'll be talking about Saneets, which is her business that she owns. And she'll also be talking about some business resources on campus and also off campus. On campus and off campus.
Oh.
Is it you? Okay.
Then I want to switch out, just in case. Okay. It's the same as mine.
Okay. Oh, okay.
There we go.
All right. Well, hi everybody. How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good. Well, I'm super excited to see you all here. I hope you guys are all enjoying my pumpkin spice cupcakes I brought today.
So good.
Thank you. So I just want to talk about a little bit about my business and how I got started. I started actually 10 years ago, and I started because I needed funds to pay for college. So I had gone to the Fashion Institute of Design and Merchandising in San Francisco and got my visual communications degree there. And then I came to work as a visual merchandiser, and then I was like, you know what, I need to go back to school, this isn't for me. So I moved up to Sacramento and started school here at Los Rios, and then transferred here to Sacramento State. And that's where I got my undergrad in business as well as marketing. So as a means to pay for my education, I decided to open up my business. A challenge for me was, it was all a learning experience. So I didn't know how to price my items, like what do I need to do to sell my items, where do I even start, how do I start, like what do I need to sell my cookies. So my main item that I bake is cookies. So I have a few pictures of my work here. So I first started my business with banana nut bread. I sold it for $5 back in 2005. And then it kind of is a hobby of mine. So my family was like, hey, like maybe you should start making cupcakes and sell them. Like you do so good. How about, start with cakes? So then I started with cakes. It was just mostly with just my friends and family at the time. And then I started branching out to cupcakes, and then I did cupcakes for a while. So my first big purchase was a cupcake order for 7 dozen cupcakes. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, how do I price these? What do I charge? Do I charge delivery? What do I do? I don't even know, like, how to manage that. So I came up like, okay, well, I did my research, right? I would go to grocery stores and take a look at how much they charge for their cupcakes. Well, this is a specialty item. I'm making it customized from scratch. These are my ingredients that I'm purchasing myself. So I'm gonna go with $2.50 a cupcake. Let's go with that. And then I would always be surprised because they're like, okay, yeah, $2.50 a cupcake, I agree. I'm gonna definitely order it. So it was all learning. So I didn't know if I needed to take a deposit. I didn't have an order form. It was just via like DMs in my Instagram, Facebook messages, text messages. Like I didn't have anything official. I didn't know I needed permits. I didn't know anything. So those are like my challenges that I had to overcome learning along the way for the last 10 years. Just kidding.
Just test the big area where yours.
Okay, got it. Oop. So over the years, I'm learning how to make all these cookies, all these designs. I'm self-taught, so I learned from YouTube, blogs, videos from others. I've attended courses myself, like that other cookiers that are hosting, so that's where I learned everything. And I'm just like a perfectionist when it comes to my cookies, as you can see. So I love learning how to make different techniques over the years. I hand paint things. So as all my developing all my techniques and things with my business, I started to realize, okay, this is taking way more time. So on average, if I'm doing a dozen cookies, it would be anywhere from a 12-hour day for one work day, when I'm baking the cookies from scratch, to making all the icing, coloring the icing, flooding the cookies, decorating, and then it's more than just one step. So you're just doing one layer, and then you're adding another layer to make all the defined details. You have to wait until it dries and like hand painting the gold, I'm airbrushing, things like that. Or if I'm adding like sprinkles, this texture right here is really unique because I would fold parchment paper in an accordion fold, and then I would put it onto the, let's go back, on the cookie while it's still wet, and then let it dry overnight. So this is my dehydrator, my handy dandy dehydrator that I have to help make the process even go faster. And when it's dried, I'll just take off the paper and then it leaves that texture. So in terms of like learning along the way, I've done workshops with, the small business department here locally in Sacramento. They had workshops for me to learn how to invest money, take out loans, and things like that. So I am a cottage food business. So I basically, what that is I have my business out of my own kitchen. And then there's also two different types of cottage food. So you can have an A or a B, where you have like a commercial grade kitchen, but mine is just the normal home kitchen. So I've been doing that for many, many years. Folks have also thought about, oh, you should definitely open up a brick and mortar. But for me, if opening a brick and mortar means I'm paying overhead, I'm paying employees, I'm training them, I'm paying for insurance, I'm paying for all those extra things where I don't have to do that right now. And over the years, I just feel, so I've had little helpers and things like that, who I pay, like my cousin would come help me and make my dough and things like that over the time. And that's like the only help that I would get. So I'm the person who does all the emailing through the customers. I'm doing the marketing, so making the flyers, taking the photographs, baking the cookies, decorating the cookies, and then making sure like they get delivered, packaged on time. So over the years, I built obviously camaraderie with my clients, relationships, the connections that I made. So that's how I keep my clients, and they're returning because of the service that I have. I have over 20 years of service industry experience. I know it doesn't look like I'm that old, but I am. So I feel like all my experience from like my retail experience is a lot of customer service. I know how to manage a lot of issues. So I do get those customers that come to me like I want X, Y, Z, and I need it by Thursday. And I'm like, okay, well, unfortunately, I've learned along the way too to have boundaries, because I'm a one-woman show. I can't accommodate for everybody, right? Because like I work full-time, and I'm also a side business owner. So I can't always be making cookies. So I average about 8 to 10 dozen of cookies each week. If I am. Currently, I'm not taking any cookie orders because I'm in the MBA program, so I'm also doing my education to expand my professional development so that I can maybe potentially do something more with my cookie business, we'll see. And so, let's see, oops, I keep doing that. Is there anything other questions that I didn't answer? The resources. So the resources are the small business department here in Sacramento I used for workshops to learn how to start the business, how to do a business plan. Business law classes helped me out a lot too, to understand like all the licensings that I needed to do. Because I didn't know, so for my cottage food, I didn't know like you need to do that. You need to get a fictitious business name and put it in the newspaper. I didn't know that you need your seller's permit for the county that you're in. I didn't know you needed to have a business license on top of that. I didn't know a lot of different things because there isn't like a list for you that's handy. Like, you need all these things on this list. So I had to learn myself how to do that. And I didn't really have a lot of help, so it's just all my own research that I've done. It's also the folks that I've connected with in a lot of the vending expos that I do too. So I do like markets as well. And I've taught cookie decorating classes as well downtown in Sacramento, which is really fun. And let's see, I also utilize the Center for Small Business here in Sacramento in the College of Business. So what I did there was I helped work out with the students in classes like MIS classes, where they helped me build my website because I currently didn't have a website made, so they helped me do that. I've also worked with them on a few other like social media projects and things like that, so I was able to utilize that project and that resource to help me build my business as well. So everything that I built was like organic. Let's see. I think, is there any other questions that I'm missing? You have a question?
Yeah, I had a question just about the cookies. They're so like artistically beautiful. Did you practice with painting or icing, or were you always artistically inclined, or did the cookies kind of like make you really hone that in?
So I've been kind of artistic inclined. I took a lot of art classes prior to like in my junior high school, but it wasn't like something that I didn't like really wanted to go into specifically. So then I really loved doing cookies. So before I started with cakes, it wasn't my like medium that I like to work with. I would prefer cookies because I can be so artistic like this. And so my clients will come to me for an order, like, hey, I have a birthday coming up. I want this theme, like it could be like, for example, this was part of a 12-year-old birthday. He's like, my son loves Cheetos. Can you make cookies? And I'm like, okay, sure. So I would look on Pinterest for inspiration on how to make the theme happen. Yeah. So these things I do by hand, all the details. Obviously, you see some Toy Story, so like I look at inspiration from Pinterest. Obviously, it's also copyrighted, so you're not supposed to do these items, so I can't technically license say, oh yeah, these are this brand name. Because that's part of like you can get a cease and desist too. We get a lot of that in like the cookie community, a lot of folks who do like a lot of Disney. So we can't really say that we're doing a Toy Story theme. We can say like things. So that's how I kind of get my inspiration. They'll provide me a theme or they provide me a color, and then I go from there. Let's see, so some Halloween things. I love Disney, so you'll see a lot of that, yeah.
You're amazing.
Thank you.
And do you mentor?
I do. I'm open to mentoring. I have like talked to other folks who have cookie businesses. I taught them kind of like how professionally, like how you should conduct yourself or your business, because sometimes you're doing it on your own, and I feel like sometimes we don't have that professionalism or anything like that. So I'm open to that. I've done it before.
I have a follow-up question.
Yeah.
For like that like an order of, I mean, how long would it take you like on average per client order, like, and how many cookies?
Yeah, so on average, a customer can order, I have a minimum, so how I charge things is a minimum of a dozen, and my starting point is $65 per dozen. So, and that comes with my experience I've had over the years. Of course, folks who are just starting out doing cookies are probably gonna charge a little bit less. Yeah. And because of my experience, so I charge a tier. So the beginning tier is gonna be your basic 2 colors, basic shades, very, very minimal details, that's $65. Okay. Something like this, where I hand painted the gold, I've hand piped all the 3D flowers and things like that. This is gonna be anywhere upwards from 75 to 85 a dozen. Easy. Yes.
Even higher.
Exactly. So, and then when it comes to like things like this, where I have to do multiple colors, so many, it's gonna be way higher as well. So on average, a customer can order anywhere from 2 dozen to 3 dozen. I've had folks who've ordered max 8 dozen for me. So it just kind of depends on the person, the event, what is it for, because I've had corporate events where they're gonna order $1,300 of cookies, and that's gonna be like 700 cookies.
Yeah.
It could be a birthday party, it's a dozen.
Wow.
So what I typically like to do is I plan out my week. So I'm very time management, strategic about my time management. So I will start, creating things on Sunday. So I start my prep work. So I'm prepping all my cookie dough that I need for the week. So I know that on average, my cookie dough makes about 20 to 24 cookies, depending on the size of the cookie. So my cookie shapes are anywhere between 3 inches to about 5 inches in width. So I base it off that. And then I'll determine, okay, do I have all the ingredients? Do I need to go shopping? I'll make all my dough. I roll out my dough already to the thickness that I need in between parchment paper, and I freeze everything so that I can be prepared. Okay, on Monday, I'm gonna start baking everything. So everything, I have 13 dozen this week. I'm gonna cut everything. I make sure, and I'm so bad, I don't make extras. So if I break a cookie, I don't have any extras. I'm so bad. I don't make any extras. I don't taste my cookies.
Oh my God.
I just assume that it's gonna be perfect every single time, which normally it is, because
You don't give yourself any margin for
no, I don't give myself any margin for error.
Wow.
Because if I do, let's say I break a cookie while I'm decorating it, I was holding it and I dropped it, it broke. Typically, you can fix it. You can glue it back together with icing.
Okay.
So that's why I don't really give myself a margin of error.
Okay.
Sometimes I do, depends, or I miscalculated, I'll end up with an extra cookie. I'm like, oh, okay, I have an extra cookie, here we go. My taste testers are my family at home. So it can take, so then on Monday I'm prepping everything. I will be making all my icing, I'll be dyeing all my icing, all the colors that I need. The most time consuming of my cookie process is probably dyeing the cookie, the raw icing. That takes the longest time for me. And then the fun part is decorating, flooding it. So then that will be another day. So I'm on Tuesday now. By Wednesday, I'm adding all the details, and by Thursday, I'm wrapping it up. And then I'll be packaging on Thursday. I'll photograph everything before I package, and then by Friday, I have everybody come pick up their order. So I used to be the person who's like, okay, I'll drop it off for you. You just pay a delivery fee. I'll drop it off here, here, here. And I'm like, what am I doing? Because it was taking a toll on me. It was taking a toll on my time. It was taking a toll wear and tear on my vehicle. And I was like, no, never mind, I'm not gonna do that anymore. You're gonna come pick up your items from my home. So I have a porch pickup specifically for it. So when you come pick up, I'm like, okay, Friday is, okay, you wanna come this time? Okay, great. And then I have my ring so I can make sure, okay, these people are coming to pick up their items. I sometimes do porch sales, so I'll do a porch pop-up. So that's where I do a flash sale on my Instagram. I'm like, hey, I'm having a flash sale today. These are the items I have. This is the price, and this is the date. You can come, by my porch and pick up your own items. It kind of helped me switch to a lot of those porch pickups because of COVID. I was actually concerned with COVID, with what would happen to my business, because people were all locked up inside. Like, are they having parties? Who knows, right? But actually COVID was a very booming time for me because they couldn't do anything. So then they would order all these cookies. I started wrapping them because before I didn't wrap my cookies individually. So then now I started including wrapping all my cookies individually so that they're like favors, they're in plastic, and then they can, you know, handle the cookies if you want to. Yeah, so it's been kind of just like a learning experience along the way as like I progress every single year, every experience. Yeah, I mean,
To replicate a design, are you creating a mold so you can make a whole bunch of them, or are there places where you can go to get like the shape of the ring?
yeah, so I have a 4-foot by 4-foot peg wall, and it has a 7-inch bracket each, and each bracket has about 6 cookie cutters. So I purchased all these cookie cutters. They can be 3D printed, or they can be your normal tin cookie cutters that you see at the store. I personally was like investing too much money in buying other people's 3D printed cookie cutters. I'm like, why? Because they're like $9 plus shipping each, right? So then I'm like, I don't want to do that. So I purchased my own 3D printer. So I print my own cookie cutters.
That is amazing.
Yeah, so I have a graphic design background. So I design my cookies in my iPad. I'll send it into an AutoCAD or a program like that, turn it into a G-code, put it in my slicer, and then print it on my 3D printer.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so I have like a lot of different tools that help me. And then you have a question?
Oh, I was going to ask if you had ever printed a cookie cutter in the senior studio over here, because we have the 3D printer lab now, but then you said you bought your own. But we should do like a cookie cutter printing workshop.
Yeah, that would be really fun.
Popular.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so, because it's super easy to kind of do, I need to like do it so then I can remember how to do it. It's been a while since I've actually printed out a cookie cutter, but yes, definitely. Did you have a question?
I do.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I was already impressed with you and I was getting your emails, but now I'm just like, wow.
Yeah.
You touched a little bit on your schedule as of lately, but I'm curious, when you first started, you were saying that you got into this to fund your education. So can you go over a little bit of like what your schedule was like at the time? How were you able to balance school with starting a business?
That's a great question, because I felt like one semester, like depending, right, you go to your classes the first couple of weeks in your linear schedule. And I would get a hang of my schedule, my time. I'm like, okay, I'm getting into the flow of this. I can open up my business. And then it would be like, okay, I'm open for business. And then depending on like my emails that I would get on the order. So let's say I would get one order for 1 dozen. Okay, manageable. I'll get another order, 2 dozen. Okay, now we're at 3 dozen this week. Okay, still manageable. I have, make time for my classes and my cookie schedule. At the time when I was in college, I wasn't working full time, so my main source of income was cookies. So I had more time to develop it, work on it, and make on cookies so I could take on more orders. There would be semesters where I'm like too much workload. I was taking 5 classes and it was just demanding. Then I would say, hey, this semester I'm gonna be closing because I'm focusing on my education right now. And I would hope for the best, because I don't know if those customers that I've had, those relationships prior, are they gonna come back after I open? There's always that risk that you take. But when I would come back, they're like, yay, you're open again, like I can order cookies. So I wouldn't have to worry about that. So then I kind of learned like, okay, I don't have to worry if I close, and then if I open back up, are my clients still gonna be there? Evan?
Did you? Sorry, I'm Ethan.
Ethan,
Evan.
yes, sorry.
Vice President. All good, yeah.
So sorry.
No, all good. Did you do anything to nurture those relationships while you were closed? Did you like send them a text every couple months and be like, hey, how's Timmy, or whatever, or whatever?
Yeah, so they would reach out to me and they're like, hey, Sanitta, like, are you gonna be available XYZ date? I'm like, actually, unfortunately, I'm not, because I'm focusing in school, but I will let you know when I'll return. And you're gonna be the first person that I contact when I come back. So you want to keep those relationships with your client so that you have them when you're closed and you come back. So I build those connections with my clients. So I have a lot of returning clients who are from even out of town, because I'm originally from Modesto, which is about an hour away from here. And a lot of my clients actually started from Modesto, and I would be traveling to Modesto to deliver those cookies. And then it was kind of hard for me to kind of get into the Sacramento community. I was trying to be more engaging with all the other cookiers, to connect with them and network with them so that I can meet more clients and more folks. And that's kind of how you grow each other, because those businesses like, hey, I'm actually fully booked this week, but do you have availability for this order? And then they will hand it off to me too. So that's how I would also gain clients. And then once you have that, so I kind of base a lot of, you'll see the quality of work, right? So once your client is really happy with the quality of work, taste, look, your customer service, right? You're gonna keep those clients coming back because you're making them happy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. People like loyalty and
Yes.
people like consistency, and they'll buy cookies from you for 25 years and be happy
Yes.
about it.
Absolutely. You had a question in the back too?
Yeah, how do you deal with the competition when you're closed?
So I actually don't think of it as competition. That's the way I feel like women empowerment, because a lot of our other cookiers are women too. I don't think of them as competition to me, because I feel like there's enough business to go around. Of course, each person's gonna have their own take on cookies and their own definitely style of cookies. Obviously, I am very attention to detail. So folks maybe who are more maybe inexperienced, or maybe have a different kind of niche design that they do. Maybe they only do piping, and I do both hand piping and watercolor and painting, so I have maybe a little bit more experience in that sense, so I don't feel like it's competition. I like to support other cookiers too. When I'm like too busy, I'm like, hey, I'm actually too full, so maybe if you would like this business, you can definitely take it on, because I feel like there's always a party of some sort. So someone's always celebrating something, and I always feel like there's so much cookies to go around, honestly. But yeah, so are there any other questions? Yes.
So you said you did your own marketing. I'm curious, like, which marketing techniques or channels were the most successful for you, and then which were also, the least, and did that surprise you? Like, maybe something you thought was going to be a big channel wasn't, or something you didn't expect ended up being really, good for you?
Yeah. So I originally started on Facebook, of course, but now obviously that's kind of a myth. I started a Facebook page for my baked goods, and I thought that was going to be like my most popular method of everything, right? And then I was like, okay, well, obviously social media, Instagram is like my #1 marketing platform of choice. I used to have a website. I closed it down because I'm currently closed right now. And then I couldn't keep up with the demand, so that's why I closed. I was just getting too many orders, and like I said, I'm only one person. I couldn't keep up with demand, and I had to close it, and I felt really bad. But that was just, it's like my marketing was just more word of mouth. So one person would be at a party, they order my cookies, oh my gosh, they're fantastic. Who did you get them from? Then it's that party, right? I get like maybe 3 clients from that party. And then they have a party I do cookies for. Then it keeps like branching out, and that's how I kind of grew organically. All I do, honestly, because like I don't even post reels, because I know like reels and TikTok is like a big thing right now, right? I would just post pictures of my cookies that I do. Or sometimes, like this cookie for instance, I love Disney. I made this cookie, I took it to Disneyland with me, and I took a picture of myself in front of the Disneyland castle, and then posted it, and then, hashtags and things like that of course, social media like blows up. I'm like, oh my gosh, like those are so cool. Like, did you get it at Disney? I'm like, no, I made it. So it's things like that. Like a dream job for me would probably be a pastry chef at Disney. Like, that would be so cool.
Oh my god.
Yes.
Do you ship your products at all?
So under my cottage food business, you're not allowed to.
Okay.
Yes. So I mean, I personally only ship to my family who are down south. I've shipped them before and they're kind of indestructible. I will bubble wrap them, make sure like everything's all safe so like they don't move around during shipping. And I cross my fingers like when they open up the cookies that they're fine. But depending on like the license that you have, you can or cannot ship. So the license I have, I can't sell to third parties. So basically selling on Etsy where I can ship and things like that. So it depends on the licensings that you have in order for you to sell. Any other questions? Yeah.
Did you expand your kitchen, like add 2 ovens ever when it was really going on?
No, I only have one oven. One oven, but basically kind of like 2 areas for kitchen. So I have like a dry bar. I have 2 KitchenAid mixers that I'll have both running and going at the same time. I've turned my formal dining room kitchen area into my cookie room. So that's like where I decorate my cookies, I package my cookies and things like that. And in my main kitchen, of course. I have like a baker's rack where I have everything. Like one of those big ones that you see like, yeah, one of those bread ones. Yeah, so then I would just like, when I'm done baking, I would put all my cookies like, okay, they're all there, like, let's hope for the best, right? I would love to have a double oven, an expanded kitchen with like 2 double islands so I have enough space to like work on everything, because when I'm working, like everything's like spread out everywhere. Yeah. Yes.
What was like your hardest design? Like they all look amazing, but like what was the hardest one?
The hardest one will probably be this one. This cookie is actually 6 by 9 inches, so it's about the size of my face. It did take me 2 hours to make, to decorate it, because you probably can't tell, you can come up here later, but each one is like individually typed. And then I outlined everything and then I hand painted everything. So that one took me the longest. So whenever I get an order for the castle, I'm like, it's $12 for one cookie because it takes it so long. And people pay it. They're like, yeah, I want 5. Okay, that's fine. So it just amazes me, like whenever I tell them a price and I'm like, okay, who's gonna pay $85 for a dozen cookies? Like, it's cookies, you eat them, right? You're not, like, for me, it's like my value, right? What you're spending. So I worry, like, okay, are my clients gonna keep coming back to me if I charge $85, $95 a dozen?
Yes.
But they do. So know your worth, right? Because your time, because like I said, it takes me a whole week to work on all these cookies. So that's like a thing that I didn't know at starting out. Like I didn't understand the value of my time.
That
Right.
cookie is a $25 cookie.
Yeah, right? It should be, right?
Gorgeous.
Thank you.
And they probably wouldn't eat it for like 3 days and it still tastes
Yeah.
fresh.
To be honest, I still have this cookie. It's still standing on my dresser as like a little trophy. I'm like,
Yes.
oh, I love you. You're so cute. Because it doesn't rot or anything. It just dries up and it becomes a really, really hard cookie. And so you can keep it forever as like a keepsake. So a lot of my brides who I do weddings for, they'll keep it. And I tell them like, you should definitely keep at least one cookie as a keepsake for your wedding to remember it by, because they're kind of indestructible.
It's like the freezer, like the cake top.
Yes.
Oh, that's so cute.
Yeah. Yes.
I was curious about your journey as a photographer, because you mentioned you were doing your own photography.
Uh-huh.
And I clearly see the difference, the evolution of your Instagram
Yes.
page. So if you could talk about that.
Yes. So that's right. So if you looked at my Instagram, you can see my photo quality has definitely upgraded, right? Gotten better lighting. In my past education experience at FITM, so the Bachelor of Design and Merchandising in San Francisco, I did take a lighting class. It did have a merchandising class too, so I can know how to arrange like the focal points to your pictures and things like that. So I have a little bit of background in that aspect. I was gonna go into photography, but I that's not my thing. And so over the years, the lighting got better. I'm setting my photos, making sure I'm taking the pictures during the day, or if I'm using a ring light, can I use that light to create the natural light that I need for these better quality photos? Of course, over the years, our iPhones have also been, enhanced camera-wise. And so most of the time, I used to take my pictures with a DSLR camera, which I thought that was a hassle back in 2012. Like, oh, I'm taking pictures, I gotta upload it to my computer, I gotta edit it, and I gotta bring it back to my phone. That took too much time for me. And I'm all about maximizing my time. So I decided, like, okay, all these pictures I'm gonna be taking, I need better quality light, I need better quality cameras on my phone, so that it's easier for me to take these photos. And then I've learned from other cookiers too, who also do really great photography with their merchandise and their products. And I'm like, okay, well, I need to take some tips from them on how to like position my cookies, make them look like enticing. So that's how I kind of basically evolved in my picture taking experience. And it's helped me because I feel like people are like, ooh, those are, like my tagline is too cute to eat, because a lot of people tell me that whenever they receive their cookies, they're like, oh my gosh, these cookies are way too cute, I can't eat these. That's fine, I mean, you paid for them, you can do whatever you want. So that's how that came about. I still, I do enjoy photography, all the different angles and things like that. Yeah.
And a follow-up question, I also noticed like now you have a strategy, you can literally read the story of you went places. How did you come up with this idea to actually tell the story of your cookies traveling?
So I have like the traveling, like when I go to different places. Yeah. So there was the one Instagrammer that I saw who I followed, who I like really loved. Like she would go to Paris and have a cookie in front of the Eiffel Tower. She had some cookies in front of like all these big, huge monuments. And I thought that was so cool. Like that's why I got the idea. I'm like, okay, I love Disney. I'm gonna make Disney cookies, and I'm gonna go take those pictures for that. So a lot of pictures that you see on my Instagram are gonna be like Disney. I wish I should have made cookies when I just went to Paris this last summer and went to Disney Paris then. So that's kind of how I kind of get inspiration from other folks. We kind of feed off each other. Like I said, it's like a community. We kind of share ideas. Yes, of course, there's always the business where like, oh, you copy my stuff. But I feel like, you just have to have the personality to kind of brush it off your shoulder or kind of stay out of that kind of drama, because like that's kind of how I feel. I'll stay behind, like I don't think that's professional, and not to post those kinds of things, because there are some of those folks that express that.
So you mentioned that right now your business is closed because of your schedule, and I've seen a lot of businesses on Instagram or that have run through social media. What they'll do is they will like send their availability, and then once it's done, they'll say we're closed. Mm-hmm. So did you consider like maybe making 2 dozen a week and just keeping it at that, or was it just not like worth it for you to do that?
Yeah, actually, I will do that sometimes. So during the time, like when I was open for business, let's say I had available, I'll put a calendar actually on my Instagram, like saying these dates are available, and to kind of maybe entice folks to either book their order now, and it's not confirmed until they pay a deposit. So now I take a deposit, it's 50%, and then you pay the other 50 when you pick up. So, and it was kind of an interesting, because then sometimes I would, like let's say I need a vacation, like I need a break, like I've been like focusing on everything. And then I was just like, oh, I'm booked this week, it's okay. Or, you know, there are times where like I get orders that are really, really complicated. And I'm like, hey, you know, I may not be the best fit for this order. Maybe there's a recommendation I can give. So I'm not always trying to turn them down. I'm always either trying to recommend another baker, so that I'm supporting other cookiers too in the community, because I'm trying to support them too. So that's how I would manage that. But it just kind of depends on your capacity, right? So then I know that I could take on 8 dozen this week, but then let's say I'm gonna take 6 next week, and I'll say that I'm already booked. Yes.
Kind of like how you were talking about turning down like super complex orders. Who have you learned are like, you know, the worst customers over time, and like who are your best customers? And then did you have a period where like you felt guilty distancing yourself or turning down the worst customers, and you were like pulled tooth and trying to serve them, or from the bat were you like, no?
I learned the hard way. So I learned the hard way what that was like when I didn't want to say no. I learned that real quick that I need to learn to say no more often than not, because I was stretching myself so thin that I was stressed out. I would be staying up, I would sacrifice my time. I would be up until 2 a.m. in the mornings, making sure everything was baked and perfect, and I completed the order. And over the time, I can't do that to myself. I can't sacrifice my own well-being unless, I start saying no. So there are times that I will, you know what, I can't do that. I need to learn to stick up for myself, and I'm not available. And I won't say like, oh, I won't do it. I'll say, I'm not available right now, so, but I do have this recommendation that would be great for you, that might work out. Unfortunately, I can't take that order this week. And it would be the same thing too, like when I get those complex orders, like I will go through 7 emails deep of like the back and forth. And it takes time, like when you're emailing back and forth too. And it could be a span of 24 hours that we're going back and forth the entire time, and then we don't come to an agreement. Then I'm like, okay, well, I think that, I'm unable to take on this order, so at this time that maybe I suggest you look at other alternatives, and here maybe your XYZ folks that maybe can do this. So it's not about always saying no to them, it's just like a creative way for you to say no. Yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
Do you have any method or database or anything where you store all the customers to reach out to for promotions, or do you just not do that and just put it on Instagram?
So that, I thought about that too. I know that a lot of my other cookier in the communities do that. I personally don't, just because I feel like I don't have enough time to personalize like a message. I know it's like all automatic now, but I felt like when I first started, I didn't have those platforms to help me with those resources. I'm pretty sure if I did it today, like there are way more opportunities, platforms for me to utilize to do that, and I can do that. I may be thinking about that when I come back, because I need to like reinvent like how I want to approach it. Like, how do I send them a newsletter? Do I send them an email like, hey, I'm having a flash sale, like check it out. But most of the time, a lot of my clients are following me on Instagram, so I use that platform the most to say, hey, I have a flash sale going on right now, especially when I also make French macarons. And those things are so popular, I can't keep up. So I'll do a flash sale where I do a poll on my Instagram, and I'm like, here's XYZ flavors for the week. I let them choose. So I let my clients on my Instagram choose the flavors for the week. So then I'll do 6 flavors, and I'll put that in a sale, and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna have this date, this is when I'm gonna have all this available, and this is what's on sale. So I only capture those who are active on my Instagram. Yes.
If you have like essentially infinite demand, have you thought about going like ultra luxury with your cookie pricing, where you go up to like, $150 or like $175 per dozen, and it's like maybe only 30% as many people hit you up, but you have to cook like, you know, way less cookies and you save a ton of time and make around the same amount.
Yeah, I did think about that. I've had countless, so I've been approached by Freeport Bakery, which is really well known here in Sacramento. They needed an in-house cookier that they wanted to hire, and I'm like, okay, well, I gotta think about, okay, how much is that gonna be? Are you paying me salary? Am I getting paid by the dozen? Is it my own money? Is it, I don't know, right?
Is it your creativity, your
Like,
rights?
right.
Because IP is important.
Exactly. Or do I just stay on my own sole business? Do I just sell directly and I up the price? I've thought about both cases. It just kind of depends. Or I've been reached out by Macy's to do a demo there in Union Square. I've done multiple. I've almost casted for the Food Network's Christmas Cookie Challenge. I went through all the interviews. I was like, this is so nerve-wracking. I don't know how to do this. So I went through that process too, because like, okay, if I go on that show, I'll become so popular. Am I gonna be able to manage the cookie business? Because then I'm probably gonna have to quit my job. Like, is this gonna be sustainable? I had to think about all those factors too. So I'm still kind of, right now, I'm still kind of dabbling on which opportunities are good for me. I have a family to worry about, my MBA right now, and then working full time because you need stability. Because cookie business, like, yes, it's good, profits for sure for me, but it's not stable. Like, 1 week it's a couple orders here. Maybe next week it's 5. And then it's not consistent profits, obviously. And then obviously you're your own manager, you're in business, so you don't have health insurance that you definitely need as you're getting older. Do you have like all the necessary things to, like it's like a big risk for me to take, so I'm like definitely thinking about it, and it definitely scares me if I take the leap to do this full time. Yes.
Follow-up question to what he asked. How do you know where to put the pricing for each one, and is it when you're getting too much demand, and how much do you raise the price by, like 20%?
Yeah, so I first started like increasing each like tier by $10 as like inflation and everything has gone up, right? So each time, so right now currently it's $65 a dozen. So my next increase will probably be the next $10 up. That's how I would do it. And then, because I kind of gauge it by other cookiers too in the industry, in the community as well. I'll take a look at their pricing, what are they charging, or I'm taking a look at other really popular cookiers. Okay, they're charging $90 a dozen. Okay, then what am I doing? Then I need to step up my game. So I'll do research that way, or I'll even, because they have cookie cons where you can go and meet other cookie folks around the world. They have resources and they have items for purchase and things like that. So you can meet these people and learn, maybe ask them all the questions like, okay, how do you price your cookies? Because obviously throughout my journey, I'm just like learning as I go, right? So far it hasn't failed me. So I'm just gonna continue to carry on and see where it takes me, because maybe it will be the day where yes, my cookies will be $100 and people are like, yeah, I'm willing to pay for that. I once didn't open a direct message from a celebrity because I thought it was fake. She was trying to purchase my cookies and I was like, what?
Oh my God.
Yeah, so but sometimes you have to also, I need to be careful for myself too, because some of these influencers who reach out to me are looking for free items basically. So oh, I'll promote you if you give me your cookies for free. But I'm like, okay, well, this is my time. Like, you need to value my time, my work, my, things like that. So I can't give it to you for free, but I can maybe charge you this much, and then, it would be great if you promote me too. But so you have to be careful with those things too.
I am so excited. You are so awesome.
Thank you. Any other questions? No? All right, well, thank you so much for joining me today and having me here. It was super fun talking to you all. All right. Well, feel free to have cupcakes if there is any left. I don't know.
Nope.
They're all gone? Okay.